What if your parenting plan was setting you up for chaos from the word go? If you're new here, my name is Taylor Wins. I am a divorce coach. I'm a licensed divorce attorney here in Minnesota, and I'm a divorced mom of four. And today we're going to walk through three clauses from a real life parenting plan that was signed as an order of the court that I do not recommend to any of my clients. And here's the kicker. They're from my first parenting plan all the way back in 2019. But I've learned a thing or two since then. But before we take a look at the specific clauses in the plan, I just want to make some general comments to you about things that are going to derail your co-parenting if you put them in your parenting plan, or worse yet, if you don't put them in your parenting plan, especially if you're co-parenting with a high conflict individual. One thing that's really going to derail your co-parenting setup is if you have too many spots in your parenting plan or your court order that says something really vague like by agreement. The reality is that if you and your soon-to-be ex or your co-parent could agree on everything all the time, it's likely that you would still actually be married to each other. People get divorced for a reason, and so we need to honor that and honor that there will be times in the future that you don't agree on how to parent, on what is reasonable, and on what you should do in any given situation going forward. So, in light of that, we want to have a clear set of rules, responsibilities, and standards that we can rely on when we do have disagreements. Everybody can just go back to the plan and back to the order. Another big issue I see is very crucial things just left out. One would be a holiday schedule. Holidays are a time that everybody wants to spend with their kids and with their extended families. And if you don't plan for holidays, holidays will become a disaster and an event that nobody wants to participate in and will be bad memories instead of good memories for the kids. So leaving out a bunch of stuff is very synonymous to just having it say by agreement, right? There are no clear rules, standards, rights, responsibilities that anybody can rely on and fall back on if we have disagreements. And so it's very important that you put that specificity in there for who's going to have which holiday. Start and end times are really great. And gold star would be extended holidays if you have to travel out of state to go see family or friends or what have you. And the last big issue is right of decision-making authority. So where we have disagreements on other day-to-day decisions or even large decisions like where is the child going to go to school? What extracurriculars will the child participate in? Will the child go on the eighth grade trip to Washington, D.C.? Things like that. What happens if you don't agree? How do you come back into agreement? Who has the right to make the ultimate decision on what happens? Is it going to mediation? Is it that one parent gets the final say? Does it go back to the court on a motion? So those are just some high level things that you should think about and consider as you're writing your parenting plan. But now let's get into the things that I don't recommend and look at some clauses from my first parenting plan that I'm ashamed to say were really, really bad. And that's why this parenting plan that I'm about to show you is no longer in effect. Okay, so the first big issue, which I'm not going to show you on this screen because it has my kids' full names, their dates of birth, and all this identifying information about them that I probably don't want to put on the internet, but is that we shared joint legal custody and joint physical custody, but it had no clear instructions or clauses on who had tie-breaking authority or ultimate decision-making authority if we couldn't agree on issues of legal custody, which are health, religious upbringing, and education. It did say in our joint physical custody that mother's home, me, my house would be the primary residence for the children for school and all other purposes. And while that clause was really nice, it was fairly vague because when we entered into that agreement, I was living in one location and I later went on to move and we had a dispute about changing schools. And that clause, that one sentence clause, didn't rely on any statute, didn't invoke any tie-breaking authority. And so then when we had to go back and argue about changing schools, I didn't just get the right to change their schools without any notice to him. But let me actually show you from the document some things that you can look at and touch and feel. But those were just some things that came up right away where I'm like, ugh, cringe. This was so bad. But let's look at the parenting time. So in this parenting time clause, you can see it has a graduated parenting time schedule. And you guys, my kids were super, super young. Like I'm talking, nobody was in school or daycare at the point in time that this was written. And so the parenting time reflects how little they are and that he was working full time and I was not. I was actually staying home. So we have this super restricted graduated parenting time schedule that does a good job of laying out days and times and all of that. But what it doesn't lay out is where the parenting time will take place, who will transport the children to the parenting time. And how do we know if we're ready to graduate and like if this graduation of parenting time is successful, right? So typically when there's graduated parenting time, there's a reason, right? Like we're easing children into it. Children are really young, we're starting from scratch or something like that. How do I know that the regular parenting time from January 1st to June 21st is successful such that we should just go to this new graduated schedule? Or was it intended that it would just be automatic, right? Do you see how that's really vague? And how, if you're even asking for graduated parenting time, there should be some teeth there to say, like, it's deemed successful such that we will move to the next phase if these five things or three things or whatever happen. So lots of big takeaways there, like transportation to and from parenting time, starting and ending, and then how do we know if phase one is successful? Okay, now let's look at clause or paragraph B of that same parenting time clause. In light of husband's occupation as a teacher, he has time off in the summers, and husband may exercise additional parenting time on his school breaks and during the summer by agreement of the parties. You guys, this is so bad. Like he may exercise additional time. So like maybe if I feel like it, if he feels like it, if who feels like it, well, he maybe exercises additional parenting time. And then it says, by agreement of the parties. Like, we're going through a divorce. We obviously don't agree on anything. And one of the things we didn't agree on was parenting. So, why would I just decide that at some point in the future we will just ultimately agree on this parenting time and we'll be able to say that he can have this parenting time on this day, that day, or the other day? This clause is horrible. Don't use things like maybe if somebody feels like it when they feel like it, they can, right? Which is basically as wishy-washy as this paragraph is, saying he may exercise additional parenting time if we agree. And by agreement, like just throw that clause completely in the trash. It is worth so little. And it doesn't say if we don't agree, how do we reach agreement? How do we come towards resolution? Where do we go? Right? If no agreements are made. This did get better. I'm happy to report that this parenting plan has been revised multiple times and it has gotten better over the years. And one of the things that has improved with it is we do have dispute resolution provisions that say how we'll resolve disputes if they come up. And then also where we're talking about expansion of parenting time during the summer, if, my ex is off and the kids want to spend more time over there, they want to take a vacation, we have notice provisions. So the parenting time can be requested by him by a certain date, and then I have to respond by a certain date, and there need to be itineraries or what have you. Lots more details so we all know what it is that we're doing. But that's just my 2 cents for now. Then the last thing I want to look at is the holiday parenting time. I cannot encourage you enough to get those big tables that lay out every single holiday known to man, and then you decide who has the child or the children on that holiday, starting at what time, ending at what time, on odd years and even years. But I didn't do that. In 2019, I was so naive as to think like our divorce was amicable. We were just going to part ways and I was going to ride off into the sunset and I was going to never have any problems, that I didn't put any detail in there. So you can see that our holiday parenting time is this one little 4-line paragraph that says that each parent shall have one 8-hour period to celebrate Thanksgiving and Christmas, either on the day or the weekend immediately following. That was it. Those are the only holidays we were going to put in place. And then we didn't have any agreement on like, well, do I get the day or the weekend following that year? What about the next year? Right? Super confusing. It bred a lot of conflict over the years, especially with family members coming into town from out of state or us going out of state to visit other family members. There were also issues with things because we do celebrate religious holidays. So then there's like Easter, there's the kids go to, I'll say they go to a private or religious school, which they do. Well, they have Good Friday off and Easter Monday off. So now there's this long weekend, right? And maybe you want to travel. There were all these things we didn't account for. And lo and behold, we couldn't agree. And we found ourselves back for modification in 6 months of that very next year. And then again, a year after that, and 2 years thereafter. So these are some things that you want to look out for as just way too vague. They're not going to serve you by just trying to agree and be flexible and be nice with your co-parent when you're putting these plans into place. Specificity is key, and it's going to save you so much heartache in the future. If you found value in this video, make sure you like it and subscribe to my channel and check out the description. There's a parenting plan workshop that I'm running. It's live, depending upon when you're watching this video. Maybe you are eligible to catch the replay. That's going to go over this and so much more. Key clauses to put into your plan, how to resolve disagreements that come up, and what to do because flexibility just doesn't always automatically work. Hope to see you in a workshop. And of course, I'll see you in the next video.